Hello everyone, welcome along to AFL Tips for Round 2 on footytips.com.au. Draggers a bit crook, so Russ Barwick taking care of business. And Thursday night football, Richmond-Carlton kicks off what I think should be the real start to the season. I know the AFL had that split round start, and over the last 2 weeks we've noticed that the crowds have been pretty poor, so don't be surprised if they revert back to Richmond-Carlton kicking off the season. The Tigers were ordinary against the Gold Coast a fortnight ago. The Blues, they weren't much better as well. And Mick Malthouse has actually said that the side lacked match fitness, so I dare say they would have been flogged, for want of a better term, over the last couple of weeks. Interesting game, but the Tigers, for me, have got too many guns in the holster for a Carlton side that just lacks potency up forward. They might be able to stop a side kicking 15 goals, but they won't be able to kick 16 themselves. So if the Tigers can manage 100 points, it should be enough to beat the Blues. Match of the round is Friday night, the Bombers taking on Hawthorn, and won't the Bombers be loving this? Because in the last 10 games they've played against the Hawks, where Buddy has played, he's kicked 50 goals and he's no longer there. And the Bombers also had 300 uncontested possessions last week, so the Hawks will have to man up a little bit. You know what? I like the Bombers to cause a bit of an upset against the Premiers. I just like what they brought to the table against North in the opening round. I think they're a free-running side, and under pressure, Hawthorn might be exposed by the Bombers when the whips are cracking. The other game on Saturday afternoon, St Kilda taking on the GWS Giant Killers, as I'm calling them now. And I think the GWS boys can get the Saints, who were okay against Melbourne, but GWS were fantastic against Sydney. You look at that form line, and you look at Josh Hunt's playing his 200th game, Mumford's playing well, the experience that these guys and Heathshaw have brought to the Giants, I think they've got a bit of a lift, and I'm predicting that they can beat them again, because they also beat them in the pre-season. Port and Adelaide in the first showdown at the Adelaide Oval. The Power won both the showdowns last year in Adelaide at Footy Park, and I think they can do it again. It's the team that is so fit. They are the last quarter finishers against the last quarter fade-outs, being the Adelaide Crows, so I'm going for Port in that one. Freo should be too good for the Gold Coast Saturday evening in Perth. The Gold Coast were good against the Tigers, but Freo were dynamic against Collingwood in the opening game of the season, and they won't be stopping now. Now Sydney, they have to bounce back. They face Collingwood Saturday night. I know the big article in Sydney this week from the Swans was about the fact that they've got 30-odd thousand members and it's a new record, but it's all about Buddy. He gets pictures in the paper for standing next to people at the moment, so they've really got to try and control this media hub and buzz around Buddy Franklin until he at least does something on the field. Fortunately, they play a side which is pretty ordinary in Collingwood, and they'll be winning this one. But it might be a bit of a sticky situation with the weather, so I'd be looking at the start if I was a Collingwood punter and cheering maybe a loss by not too many. Sunday, Brisbane take on Geelong. Geelong have won, I think, 11 of the last 13 encounters between the two sides, but I'm tipping an upset. I didn't mind what Brisbane brought to the table against Hawthorn in the opening round of the season. The Cats were okay, but really needed to push hard in the final quarter against the Crows. So I reckon if Brisbane can get off to a bit of a flyer, they might hold out the Geelong Cats. Melbourne, they won't go near the West Coast Eagles. Too much run, too much power. The Eagles will win that. And North Melbourne, who had the worst stats of pretty much every team in terms of uncontested possessions against Essendon, they'll need to bounce back against the Western Bulldogs, but they've got a really good record in 4 of the last 5 games. They've managed to kick 15 to 20 goals against the Bulldogs, so they'll be too good in the Sunday twilight game. Having a look at my tips on screen, there you go. The Tigers and the Bombers in Thursday and Friday night. GWS to be unbeaten after 2 weeks. Port to beat Adelaide in the showdown. Freo to win easily. The Swans over Collingwood. And then on Sunday, Brisbane, West Coast and North Melbourne.